After the appalling opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics, the International Olympic Committee has offered an apology for any offence caused. Of course, in reality, they're not sorry at all. If they were sorry, they wouldn't have greenlit the whole thing in the first place. The problem is that they've just been caught out by a changing cultural landscape. Personally, I think they expected an early 2000s Christopher Hitchens-style response from the general public, believing that there's a mass dislike of Christianity and kicking the ailing body of Christ once more is edgy and woke and modern. Plus, we're all rational humanists now, so who cares anyway? So shut up and wave a gay flag, bigots. Yet what the modern liberal elite failed to see is that Europe is actually changing. While many are still atheists, I've noticed a shift personally in the energy towards religion and Christianity. Does that mean people are going back to church? No. But in our chaotic modern world where politicians don't know what a woman is, where Islam is revered with a mix of fear and respect, and where we witness cultural erosion and meaning fragmenting all around us, many are reconsidering our Christian roots and what they mean. I mean, even Richard Dawkins, who once seemingly despised Christianity, referred to himself as a cultural Christian recently, stating that he loves the hymns and so forth.
I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. But I would not be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it wouldn't matter if we substituted any alternative religion. That would be truly dreadful.
Dawkins does have a point here. Church bells on a Sunday morning, carols at Christmas, Christian morality and charity. These things are our traditions. They belong to us. They bind us. These things also point to a mythos which unites us at the core of Western culture. That's true whether you believe in God literally or not. So when the IOC state that they quote-unquote never had any intention to cause any disrespect, they're either naive, ideologically possessed, or just evil. I mean, they mocked one of the most famous scenes in Christianity in which Christ, knowing he's about to be brutally murdered, gives us the symbolic act of communion that means we can all, no matter how sinful we are, be saved if we're willing to face up to the truth, be honest and humble ourselves. This is the very centre point of Western culture. It's what ties us together in a shared morality and way of life. It's what allows high-trust societies to occur. Yet they felt that having a bunch of obese they-thems twirling around, promoting a fallen LGBTQ ideology wouldn't be disrespectful. Do you really believe they wouldn't think this was disrespectful if it was aimed at, say, Islam? Yet this is the madness of the modern woke ideology, which has also taken over the IOC. They state their intention with the opening ceremony was always to celebrate community and tolerance. Yet these woke idiots know deep down that that's totally impossible. You can't tolerate absolutely everything because then you stand for absolutely nothing. Of course, what they mean by tolerance and diversity, as we well know now, is a hatred of white, straight, Christian conservative men. As long as you dislike and badmouth that group, you can pretend that you can have this utopian society full of LGBTQ ideology, strong independent women, and Islam. Yet this pretense is causing increasing chaos which people are waking up to more and more, as well as the fact that in life, eventually, you have to make tough decisions. Every strong culture has to eventually make a decision on what is true and what is not. If you don't do that, you'll drown in an ocean of nihilism. And that's essentially what the modern West is becoming. On the surface, it's all supposed to be this great multicultural utopia, but in reality, it's differing groups jostling for power and influence. Now, we had an answer to all of this chaos in the past, and that answer was the Christian tradition. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't take on another worldview. Take a Buddhist in England, say. If he's not bothering anybody and practicing his religion in private, that's no problem. But the core of the society is Christian. It's that Christian mythos which organises and orders the individual and society together. It's what creates freedom from the state on top of that. It's my view that we have to reawaken that if we're to stand strong in the future, whether you literally believe or not. In essence, ironically enough, the ideology of tolerance and diversity actively creates division. Meanwhile, it's a strong tradition that creates order. We had one of the finest traditions in the world, and we can reawaken it if we want. Anyway, these are just some of my thoughts. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.